Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the PrimateCast. I'm your host, Andrew McIntosh, and this just happens to be our 50th podcast. To get things going, we're going back to the joint meetings of the International Primatological Society and American Society of Primatologists, which was held earlier this year in Chicago. And in this interview, we're joined by Dr. Laura Marsh.
A few years ago, 2 years ago, I rewrote the taxonomy for Pithecia, for the saki monkeys.
Yeah.
I described 5 new species to science, and it wasn't one of the new species, but one that had been named by a former taxonomist named Hershkovitz, that had no living photographs, not any recently killed animals, nothing. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we should go look for that.
So Laura Marsh is the director and the co-founder of the Global Conservation Institute and has really done a lot in the areas of tropical conservation and ecology, particularly for primatologists. She's well known as the author of the Primates in Fragments series, which has 2 books in 2003 and now 2013. In addition, in this interview, we talk exclusively about her scientific, biodiversity conservation, anthropological, exploratory, and social media extravaganza, Houseboat Amazon. As you may have picked up from the clip at the top here of this podcast, one of the main goals, or perhaps the impetus for the project Houseboat Amazon, is to find this missing saki monkey which dropped off our scientific maps, Pithecia vanzolinii, as she explains a little bit later. But rather than just taking a small team on a scientific mission to find this missing monkey, she's instead decided to bring all of us along for the ride, make it a large social media extravaganza so that we can all participate, root on the team, and see what's happening almost in real time. So as you'll see in the interview, she talks about how they're planning to document all kinds of biodiversity in the region, some of it completely unexplored or uncharted territory. And they'll be bringing a film crew along, drone operators. They can really document in high resolution and high detail all of the experiences that they're going to have. They have an interdisciplinary and an international team, so they'll be able to document the wildlife, reach out to the locals, do some public engagement and educational activities along the way about tropical ecology and conservation, and with hope, by the end of everything, find their missing monkey. So just before we kick off the interview here, I just want to get some information out on ways in which you can find Laura Marsh and her team with Houseboat Amazon. Online, you can go to houseboatamazon.com for their website, which is looking really nice. You can find videos that explain a lot of the components of this project and an introductory promotional video by Laura herself. Then you can follow that site to generosity.com, where they have a crowdfunder powered by Indiegogo there, and you can find ways that you can donate at any level towards this really interesting, exciting project. So I recommend everybody to check those out, listen to the interview, and follow along with Houseboat Amazon and Hollywood ecologist Dr. Laura Marsh.
Some of my background is that I've got 2 books that a lot of students around the world use called Primates in Fragments. It was being sold here by
Yes, I know it very well.
Yeah, so that's me too. So I'm sort of I'm sort of a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what is this? Tell us about this Houseboat Amazon.
Yeah, so Houseboat Amazon is first and foremost a primate research expedition, but is also being done as an international social media experience. Mm-hmm. The idea, hopefully, we will be able to we're taking lots of video content from drones and GoPros, and not only in the process of studying the animals in the area, but to make it a social media project. So the basic kernel of why we're going is that a few years ago, 2 years ago, I rewrote the taxonomy for Pithecia, for the saki monkeys.
Yeah.
I described 5 new species to science, and it wasn't one of the new species, but one that had been named by a former taxonomist named Hershkovitz, that had no living photographs. Not any recently killed animals. Nothing. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we should go look for that. Because since
Sounds
1932, when we have a lot of dead animals, there's nothing. So I thought, okay. But why do it as a big, fat, hairy, wall-to-wall expedition? I think for me, because it's the opportunity to use social media, it's the opportunity to use the available resources to us to get the public involved. School kids, hopefully, will be able to follow the program anywhere in the world. We'll be speaking 3 languages on the boat, Portuguese, Spanish, and English. My basic team there's myself and one other U.S. Veterinarian who's going. Otherwise, I have a Mexican professional, Brazilian professionals, a Colombian professional who's the drone operator.
Wow.
And, yeah.
How many people in total are on the boat?
Right. I mean, it fluctuates a bit. Where I think our base team right now is 7, and they each have really important, discrete, different tasks. Not only are they going to be involved in doing the general survey work for primates and other mammals that we find and anything we encounter, but for instance, Alejandra Duarte, who's a Mexican professional, primate professional, she is in charge of the villages. So she's done some really clever work in Mexico for her master's thesis as well. And she's going to be in charge of hunting practices, fishing practices, talking to the folks about what they would like in return. Is there an education, something that we can help them with? Do they want to be part of a conservation area? Because this 43,000 square mile area doesn't have any conservation areas in it. They have one extractive reserve, which is, some say is a conservation area, but is for sure extracting. And there's an indigenous area, but we have no idea the take. We have no idea the resource use. And it's just on the furthest western edge of the arc of deforestation in Brazil. So it's between Cruzeiro do Sul, Ironepe, north of the BR-364, which was the Chico Mendes Road. In this triangle is where we're going and trying to see as much of it as possible.
Okay. So you have how much distance then are you actually covering along the Amazon?
That's a good question. I have no idea. How many nautical miles? I don't know. I mean, because, Amazon rivers, too, are... Like you can walk across the land faster than your boat's going to putz around some of these oxbows. I know the land areas, this roughly 43,000 square miles business. I don't know about the nautical river miles. We'll be doing the Rio Juruá between Cruzeiro do Sul and Ironepe. We will be doing the Rio Iru and hopefully be able to get permission from the indigenous group that's there to work on their land. Most of the rivers are a down and back situation. Then we'll take the Juruá again over to the Gregorino. At the point of the BR-364, we can have Brazilian students, professionals, other people get on and off the boat at that point easiest. We will be running Spot and some other geolocators. The government will know where we are because if we have an emergency, they've promised a medevac. That was one of the first things I did. A jaguar drops on the boat and bites one of my students. I'm got to get them out of there. So the Gregorino down and back, and then we go across to the Juruá again, and then down the Libertage down and back, and then to Cruzeiro do Sul.
Okay.
So we're thinking that's 4 months. The idea is that a month-ish for the actual research part, and then a week to move the boat. And if we can move the boat during the nights, even better. And if we find the missing monkey, which is Pithecia vanzolinii, a very distinct saki monkey, that has bright golden arms and legs and doesn't look like any of the other saki monkeys because all of the other saki monkeys kind of look the same. It's actually really good that they look so different because otherwise it would be very easy to overlook them.
Indeed,
but it was seriously, I mean, with all the tourists, all the people all over everywhere, that some little photograph didn't pop up online. I named whole new species because I had living evidence of them, some from tourist photos. They got that good of photos of these animals that I could corroborate in the museum specimens. And, I'm an ecologist by nature, and I've done expeditions before, and that's the kind of work I like to do. And being able to put these two things together is really kind of neat for me.
It sounds fascinating. And so when is this happening? How do people tag along on the journey?
So we went on reconnaissance in May and June already. Felipe Ana Silva is my co-leader, Brazilian co-leader. I'm on his committee for his PhD, so he'll be working on his PhD work on Cacajao. We are going again in November to take gear like solar panels, any of the satellite gear that we need, satellite phones, to see if the wireless works, if we can do satellite wireless work from anywhere. And then we launch for the big project in January. So there's a couple of ways people can join us. First, we're at houseboatamazon.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Facebook right now has been the most used place, although the webpage has now got videos and content loaded quite well. We also have a generosity.com, Indiegogo's generosity.com fundraiser going on. If you go on Generosity and Google or search within Generosity Houseboat Amazon, then you come up with our page. There's a video that tells you everything, and then you can donate as well, which we ended up short because we got great conservation grants. We're pending on 2 very big grants. We ended up actually more than $50,000 short, but that's the fundraiser because of gas.
Okay.
We rented the boat, $16,000 US. I thought it came with gas. It doesn't.
Not the best time as well to be.
Well, and it's
gas.
In the middle of nowhere, Amazon, and it's by the liter, and it's expensive, and so the math sounds something like this, which is what started terrifying us. For the big houseboat engine, for an 8-day travel on the big river on Rio Giroua, it takes 1,800 liters at $1.60 a liter for 8 days. We're going 120 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's mobilize.
We're not going to be under full steam the whole time, but I think we'll get much closer, and we're hoping for some equipment donations and some other things too that will defray the costs of that piece, so it can all go to gas, basically. Because also we have to run the speedboats, to go do the surveys. So. But we're hiring local guides, we're hiring local cooks, we're bringing Brazilian students, we're bringing Brazilian professionals. So we'll have a system of rotating people on and off the boat. I was just talking to people about bats. I was talking to people about birds. We're hoping I didn't on the front end just stack it with all of these important scientists because I needed a working team that would really pull off all these logistics because there's a lot of moving parts.
Sounds like it. Well, I definitely wish you the best of luck, and I hope if there are any listeners out there that feel they can contribute, definitely go to the site. Yeah,
definitely go to the site. Anything Houseboat Amazon, we would be grateful for you to check us out and follow us during the course of the expedition. And definitely, if you can donate, fantastic, at the Generosity site. And if you can't, pass the word along. We would be super grateful.
Okay. And I'll definitely look for you at the tail end of this thing and see how it's all
good, too. Please do. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura Marsh, for joining us.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the PrimateCast, a podcast series dedicated to the study and conservation of primates around the world. Brought to you by the Centre for International Collaboration and Advanced Studies in Primatology of the Primate Research Institute of Kyoto University. Visit us online at www.cicasppi.kyoto-u.ac.jp/news/podcasts and follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/theprimatecast and on Twitter at theprimatecast.